Hi, welcome to Enter the Bunker, where we launch you into thriving. Each week, we talk about a different virtue that can be used as a building brick to build your own personal bunkers. We share personal stories, as well as tips and tricks to help you thrive instead of survive. So sit down, relax, and enter the bunker.
Hello, and welcome to Enter the Bunker. This week's building brick is confidence. My name's Kelly,
And I'm Jonathan.
and we're going to be going over the meaning, some quotes, and just talking about it a little bit. So, the meaning is a sense of assurance that comes from having faith in ourselves and in life. Confidence allows us to trust that we have the strength to cope with whatever happens. So, I guess just having that inner tuition, strength, everything, like the oomph in life, really.
So, when you think about confidence, what is the opposite of confidence? It's doubt.
Yeah, I feel like what's actually the first word that just came to my head? It probably wasn't the correct word. It's doubt. Yeah. Doubt.
Yeah. So, when you think about confidence in terms of like what it means and how you approach things,
Yeah.
right? If you're approaching things that being doubtful,
Mhm.
like it's sometimes easier to understand something by thinking the opposite of it, right?
Right.
So, you approach things when you're doubtful about it,
Yep.
what's going to happen? You're going to end up being hesitant in what you're going to do. You're going to inject a lot of like a lot of doubt. So then you're not going to have the confidence, and what happens is that you don't take all the strength that you have to into the task, right?
Right.
And if that's the case, then there's a good chance you're going to fail, right?
It's funny that you're saying this because I guess it's not quite maybe the same, but like I always have told myself, like when I'm going into something, like think of the worst.
Okay.
And only for the fact that if it's something bad, if it's something I'm not looking forward to, I guess if it's something good, I don't always think of the worst, but something bad, I think of the worst because then when I'm coming out of it, I'm like, that wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? But maybe I shouldn't be thinking of the worst because I guess it's a form of doubt, maybe.
Well, if it depends on how you're thinking of the worst. So if you're thinking of
Right.
the worst and then minimizing the worst,
Yeah.
like saying like,
That's the worst that could
if
happen.
that's the worst that can happen, then I can do this.
Yes, and that is
Then
what I'm saying.
that's an exercise of confidence.
Okay.
Really,
Okay,
right?
cool.
And so it actually reminds me of a saying of like, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
It's all small stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, if you're looking at at what is the worst that could happen, and most of the time when people do that exercise, it's a way of kind of deflating any kind of doubt they have going into something.
Right.
Then you can then approach it with just like, yeah, I totally got this, and
Yeah.
the worst that's going to happen is this, so let's do it.
Yeah, and
Right.
then when you come out of it, you're like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad," because
Exactly.
you were in that mindset to be going into it.
And 9 times out of 10, the worst didn't happen.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I mean, probably even more 9 times out of 10, like 9.9 times out of 10.
There you go.
Okay, so you said one quote. Let's get into a few more. So this one's by Oprah Winfrey. It is confidence in our bodies, minds, and spirit that allows us to keep looking for new adventures. Blake Lively says, "The most beautiful thing you can wear is confidence."
Mm.
I like that one. Peter T. McIntyre, he's a painter and author from New Zealand, once said, "Confidence comes from not only always being right, but from not fearing to be wrong." I like that one. And finally, Stuart Stafford, author, "Confidence is when you believe in yourself and your abilities. Arrogance is when you think you are better than others and act accordingly." So, out of those 4 quotes, which one's your fave or which one resonates to you?
Peter McIntyre, hands down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
confidence comes from not always being right, but from not fearing to be wrong.
Yeah. So the reason I like that so much is because so many people fear being wrong,
Mhm.
right? And to be confident enough that you can be wrong and and go ahead and do it anyway,
Yeah.
that is real confidence. And you don't have to always be right.
No.
And I think part I love to blame the public school systems for this because that's where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you get into grade school, what's happening? You're being graded on making sure you're right, yeah, and then you get the bad grades if you're wrong, and
I don't
so
think that's as bad as it used to be now. Is it? I
well
don't
now
know.
they don't even give grades. They
Yeah,
kind of
that's what I was
say
thinking.
well done,
Which is
you know,
like
well
also not the
developed.
best.
But also, yeah, it's so it's hazy, which is a little
Yeah.
bit better, I guess.
Yeah.
But the fact is, there's still all that grading
Mhm.
mechanism of you should always be right, never be wrong,
Yeah.
right? And I haven't seen any improvement in terms of not taking that fear of being wrong out of the system,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll blame them. I'll continue to
Yeah.
blame
No.
them.
Yeah.
So, but confidence not from always being right, but from not fearing to be wrong. It's so important, and I
Yeah.
think that if a lot of people, if more people today could not fear being wrong, there'd be so much more done. Like just look at even in how we communicate. You
Mhm.
know, how many times do you have like a team meeting and there's people that are in the meeting that are afraid to
To
say
speak.
something
Yeah.
because they fear being wrong about it, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody else is talking about it like they know what they're talking about, and you're just like, I don't know if I should say something. I'm going to look like an idiot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Been
it goes
there.
through people's head like all the time, right?
Yeah.
And if they could just get over that and be confident, just like, look, I need an answer to this question,
Mhm.
you know, and put it down,
Yeah.
knowing they could look like a total idiot,
Yeah.
knowing that's the case. The fact is that they don't have to be right. They just have to make sure that's happening, right?
Mhm.
It would be so much better. Life would be so much easier if everybody could do this, right? Just
I've-
more confidence.
I have two things to say with what you said. One being, I guess maybe a first step to building what you just said, like maybe jumping into that group of people and asking a question is completely in that die zone for you. But maybe just step out into the uncomfort zone, and after that meeting, because I'm going back to the story, take somebody that you feel comfortable with, step them aside, and ask the question, and use that person, and then maybe eventually you'll get to the die zone and you'll be able to ask the group the question. And then number two, what you're saying about always fearing to be wrong. My mom always said to me, it's kind of a little bit different, but she always said, I was always nervous to ask a question and for the answer to be no. So I guess it's not the wrong. I'm not looking for the wrong answer, but it's I'm scared for the answer to be no.
But it's the wrong answer for what you
For
want.
what I want. Exactly. So, but she always said to me, what's the worst they could say? Like, what's the worst answer? And it was always, worst they could say is no. So I remember that. And now even to this day, I still tell myself that before I say or ask something that I don't want to. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? Like
Yeah.
the worst they could say is no, if it's a yes or no question. So
Yeah, you talking to me about that actually reminds me of what it takes in sales.
yeah.
Because that's the one thing that everybody is terrified of
Yeah.
is that you're going to go and show them something and then the person that you're talking to is going to say no,
Mhm.
right? And it crushes people because it feels like total rejection.
Yeah.
You know, you just like, I showed you this awesome thing that I really like and I think that you could use, and you said no to me, you rejected me,
Yeah.
you know, and they take it like that, right? And that's why a lot of people can't do sales.
Right.
But if you can get over that, you can have the confidence
Yeah.
and know like, yeah, no's the worst they can say. And then there's all these techniques in sales of like, you know, it just means that it's a numbers game and the next one's going to be closer and closer,
Yeah.
you know, and then it's almost like dating, you know, it's just like everyone's not going to be a yes, you know.
Right.
And so-
Or you could find, or the salespeople could find people like me who just have a hard time saying no. So then we just don't know how to say no. And
yeah, they know that.
That-
And it's
that's
like
what I
people,
mean,
people.
yeah.
There's some people who actually are afraid of saying no to something, and so then they get convinced into doing something they
Yes.
really don't want.
I know, I've
and
been
so-
there.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, but then at the same time, so for people in sales, having that confidence, and there's something called positive assumptiveness,
Okay.
right? So to be positive assumptive about something, meaning like you're going into that sale with the confidence that this person's going to buy what you want,
Yeah.
right? To know that that's going to happen, you project that, and then it means statistically that there's going to be more of that. You're going to actually achieve that because you've played it out in your head,
Yeah.
and you're just going to manifest it into
Right.
reality,
Yeah.
right?
We've talked about this before. Yeah.
If you do the other side though, and you fear what's going to happen, and fear like not getting the sale,
Yeah.
and you knock on that door, or what am I saying? I'll knock on the door. Whatever it
Knock
is.
on that door.
Send that email, you know, whatever it is today. But you do that with this idea of like, oh, they're probably going to reject me anyway.
Yeah.
guess what's going to happen?
Probably going to reject
They're probably
you.
going to reject you anyway,
'Cause you
right?
don't get that confidence.
Yeah, because you don't have that confidence.
Which actually kind of goes back to Blake Lively's quote: "The most beautiful thing you can wear is confidence."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people can see that.
Yes,
People can
that's
feel
what
it.
I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so confidence is key. How you feel about yourself extends to every facet of your life. As a result, it also goes a long way of what others think of you. People are drawn to someone who is confident, someone who knows who they are and what they are capable, and regularly goes out and does it. By the same token, people will stay away from those who seem to not be sure of themselves. That being said, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. As the quote said, confidence is when you believe in yourself. Arrogance is when you believe you are better than everyone else. So make sure you keep your ego in check. Having faith and confidence in yourself will open doors, from giving you the ability to get through tough times to people naturally gravitating towards you. Kind of like what we just said. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
The thing about, on the note of arrogance, I think that for people who are trying to be confident sometimes,
Mhm.
they actually are using arrogance as a way of trying to project that.
Trying to build it even.
Yeah, even to build it.
Yeah.
And when you get, and it's like, it's funny because if you ever meet somebody who acts with that kind of arrogance,
Yeah.
they feel like they're trying to be strong, they're trying to be the alpha, they're trying to, and they're trying to be like they know it all sort of thing. I'm just talking about how it kind of comes across.
Yeah.
But then if you actually look at them, I don't know if you ever, like, when you experience it though, I see it through it really quick. Like, I'm like, this person is really insecure.
Right.
And that's where the arrogance is coming from. It's not something of sometimes that's the case, right? They're just they're very insecure, they're very weak as a person, and they need to put that arrogance out as their attempt at confidence, because they're afraid of you seeing that fear in them,
Yeah.
right? And that weakness in them.
Yeah.
So it's and at the same time, I think that's kind of like it almost comes across like the toddler steps towards confidence sometimes. And you sort of have to take pity on people that even though it's really aggravating, like like because they're being overbearing and then they think you should act a certain way towards them because they're being, the know all be it all.
Yeah.
But the fact is that you got to take a little pity on them and be like, look, I'll help you along, buddy. You don't have to lay it on so thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because they're coming from a place that they don't want you to know how vulnerable they actually are.
Right.
Right. So they're armoring up with all that arrogance.
Yeah.
Right. So just let them know. It's like, look, I'm on your side.
Yeah.
I have the confidence in you that you're going to do it. Like, put your belief in them. And then,
Yeah,
and
and
then
that
some of
might-
that arrogance can tone down a little,
Mhm.
and maybe you'll start to get to their vulnerability, and you can help them to go from being, a toddler taking little steps to like actually starting to walk
Yeah.
with confidence.
Yeah. They'll come and confide in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, as you're telling this, I'm trying to think of like even a story about a time that I came across somebody who's like that. I don't know if I've ever have.
Yeah.
Not to that extreme, I don't think.
So I kind of see it a lot when it comes to people who interview for working here at the bunker.
Okay.
Okay, specifically handymen.
Okay. Actually, do you want to know something? If I had any picture in my head, it was something to do with one of our maintenance. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I wasn't like thinking it was huge, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, they'll overcompensate.
Yeah.
They'll act like they know it all, and they'll talk in such a way where they're talking down to other people because of it.
Yep.
But it's because they're so insecure
Yeah.
that they're acting that way. And sometimes and especially when it comes to interviews,
Yes.
like when people are coming in for interviews,
That's what I was picturing.
that
Yeah.
arrogance comes through a lot of times.
Yeah.
That doesn't, like, I can see through that. It's not actually confidence. It's
Right.
actually being arrogant in what they claim they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that was fun. You guys can join us for part 2 when we talk about how to become more confident, and we will join you there.
See you then.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.